Hi, my name is Nick. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a servicing of the drive system on a Dolphin Diagnostic pool cleaner. I'm an official Matronic service representative. I've been working with these robots for 4 years. This tutorial will also cover most of Matronic's line with the diagnostic cleaner, the dynamic cleaner. This one came into the shop. These tracks are pretty loose. I'm going to be showing you how to change the tracks and the pulleys. First, we're going to be removing the filter screen. It's attached with 2 screws on the inside of the unit. Filter screen covers up the motor box. Next, we're going to remove the handle. The handle is held on with 2 screws on either side. Make sure when you're pulling off the handle that you don't overflex the arms, or else you could crack the arms off the handle itself. Pull out the filter screen. Next, I'm going to be swapping out the bit on my screw gun for an extension flexible bit. Show you that in a second. And that's because there are 6 screws on either side of the robot that hold the side plate on, and the ones especially deep down in the unit are pretty hard to get at. So you can use either a flexible bit like I have, a right angle driver if you have a right angle electric driver, or if you really want to, you can use traditional hand screwdrivers and if you got smaller hands. So we're going to pull off the 6 screws on either side of the robot holding the side plate on. And just make a note that these 12 screws holding the side plates on are shorter than the screws that hold the filter screen and the handle on. So there are 4 longer screws for the filter screen and the handle, and then 12 of the shorter screws for the side plates. And this is where the extension comes in pretty handy. You can see it's flexing pretty hard there. But like I said, a right angle electric screwdriver will do the job as well. If you are using an electric screw gun, again, just make sure that the torque is set pretty low so you're not stripping the screws, you're not stripping out the holes that the screws go into. I have to tip the unit on the side here to get the last screws out. Alright, the last screws are out. Next we're going to be removing the side plates. I use a large flathead screwdriver, but if you have anything else that basically works as sort of a pry bar, that'll work as well. Sometimes sand gets built up in the recesses that the side plate sits in, so you might need to use a little bit of force. See, I forgot a screw there. Side plate comes off. So now we're going to pull off the drive components. Wheel tubes come off. tracks come off, pulleys come off. You're going to want to check the bearings on either end of both wheel tubes, make sure they're spinning freely. Make sure that these idler bearings here, as they're called, spin freely, that they're not exploded, that the ball bearings aren't falling out. Going to pull out that hexagon adapter, save it for later. Now there are two kinds of drive belts that go on Dolphins. These ones here are the newer style timing tracks, and these are the older style timing belts. The teeth on the timing belts can get pretty worn down pretty quickly, so if they're worn down, they start looking pointy and triangular. You're going to want to replace the belts. The timing tracks are a little bit more durable, but still, if they get stretched out, you're going to want to replace them. And make sure that you're using the appropriate pulleys and wheel tubes for each. You can check the pulleys. The black ring on the inside, sometimes it's white, but you can see the black ring there. If that starts touching the outer white plastic ring, you're going to want to replace that, because that means that the bearing is loose and it's going to cause premature wear on the drive motor. Even if they spin freely, it just causes wear. So again, if you have timing belts, make sure you're using the appropriate pulleys. This is hexagon adapter. You're going to want to make sure you don't lose that. That is what sends power from the drive motor to the drive pulleys. It's got two new tracks there and two new pulleys. You can see that this is a newer style pulley. They changed the inner ring to white. I'm not entirely sure why, or if it's a different material or something, but that's the one that they're selling us now. So you're going to want to take the hexagon adapter, put it into the pulley, get the track around the pulley, this motor box was loose, so make sure that your motor box is all screwed in. It's a bit difficult to do sideways. Usually I have the robot just sitting upside down. Anyway, the pulley with the hexagon adapter is going to go in the side with the drive pin coming off the drive motor. So make sure that you get the slot on the hexagon adapter and the slide on the drive motor aligned. The other side is the idle side. That one doesn't need a hexagon adapter if you have a diagnostic type unit. If you have a dynamic type unit where the either side of the drive system can move separately, there's going to be a hexagon adapter and a drive pin there. You get your wheel tubes in. This is how I personally do it. I get the wheel tube closest to me in place, and I kind of hold the unit against me, hold the wheel tube in place with my stomach, and then slide the other wheel tube in place there. So you can see that the drive track snakes around the drive pulley, under, or depending how you're looking at it, over those idler bearings there, and around either wheel tube. You get the side plate back on, feed the pegs into the wheel tubes. There are also pegs that go into the slots that the idler bearings sit around. You might also need to use a little bit of force to get the side plate back on. There's also a little recess that the drive pulley sits in. So in that case, I grab my screwdriver again and I make sure that that pulley is sitting in that recess on the side plate. Again, grab my screwdriver, make sure that the pulley is sitting in properly. Sometimes, for the most part, when you put the side plate on for the first time, the pulley's gonna sit crooked, so you're just gonna want to set it straight. Now we're gonna grab our screws again and our screwdriver and put the 12 screws back in and reattach the side plates. Again, just showing you there are longer screws and shorter screws. The shorter ones are used for the side plate, and the longer ones are used for the handle and the filter screen. Now, while I'm putting the rest of these screws in, I'll take the opportunity to talk a little bit about the Dolphin and how it works. This is not a catch-all for any sort of issues that you might be having with the Dolphin. It's a good idea that if you have any sort of service center nearby, or if you know of a service center that has the appropriate equipment to deal with one of these, that you get the motor box scanned if you're having any sort of issues. Sometimes they'll be failing test cycles, which means they'll go back and forth for about 30 seconds and then totally stop. There are sensors on either motor. Sometimes those go haywire. There's a computer that runs the whole machine. Sometimes that can malfunction. For the most part, this is if there's obviously something wrong with the tracks, like one of them snaps, or you have something wrong with the bearings anywhere, like those idler bearings, the bearings on the pulley, or the bearings on the wheel tube. If there's something obviously wrong with those, then you could probably go ahead and just replace those, and that'll be your fix. But if you're having issues with it's failing the test cycle and this isn't anything obviously wrong with the unit, then you might want to get the computer scanned, and then that'll bring up, much like how a car these days will throw codes for different engine errors. The Dolphins are pretty smart like that, where they could actually store code for different motor box errors. Now we got all the screws back in, holding on the side plates. You can get the filter screen back in. Usually the filter screen kind of warps, so there's a kind of a dent where the cable goes. You can kind of realign it that way. Because I'm too lazy to take off my flexible adapter. There we go. Get the filter screen screws back in. Again, those are the longer ones. Flip the unit over. Put the handle back on. The handle sits on those two little white extensions coming out of the side plate, and then just gets attached with two screws. Now the robot's completely reassembled. At this point, you can put your bag in, your tray in, and you're good to go.